Okay, ready to go. Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Helmut. I'm here with Laura and Kay. And what's the story with the red door is the subject today. And Laura.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's okay. I think we're all so excited today to talk. And again, to say today, we're gathered here to talk about, I think they're all my favorite subjects, but I love the red door. And so we're here today to talk about what is the red door all about and why people like me are so excited to use them, be in them, play with them, use them on other people. And so we're here today with Kay, the amazing Kay, the author of The Reluctant Shaman and the developer of the Katasi Red Doors. And we're also here with her, my friend, her husband, the amazing Helmut. And he's going to talk briefly, give us a little disclaimer about what we're talking about today. So Helmut, to you.
Okay, let me go find that.
We're all so excited.
Well, since we're talking about the incredible red door and the red door healing, and that's a big part of our healing work, has been for the last 30 years or so. Here's our disclaimer, the Katasi and the Katasi red door disclaimer. The healing work and teachings that we offer and that you are receiving stem from ancient spiritual healing traditions and are not intended as a medical or psychological service. In the allopathic sense of the term, we do not make any medical claims. The ideas, information, procedures, and suggestions we provide are based on those ancient spiritual traditional healing traditions and are not intended as a substitute for consulting with a medical professional. Kay, I, or anyone else working with us shall not be liable or responsible for any loss or damage allegedly arising from anything we provide. Our healing work and teachings are rendered within the context of the ancient traditions they are based on. Everyone receiving healing work or teachings from us is wholly and entirely responsible for their own health and health care. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Kay, what's the story with the red door?
Well, the red door started, like Helmut said, actually more than 30 years ago. We've been married close to 30 years. And I was working, studying and working on and with radionics for a number of years before that. And this whole concept with the radionics is an energetic healing technique. It's been around for at least 100 years, probably it's a little more than that by now. And lots and lots and lots of very brilliant people have participated in working with radionics and developing it more and more. And it works by taking the energetic information of something that is healing, that the practitioner is picking, and putting that through a device that can send that energetic information through what we call scalar waves outside of time and space. So it travels instantaneously to your subject or target, depending on what or who that is. And it's been used in agriculture extensively for at least 100 years, and a lot with people, with humans, and with spaces, large plots of land, even treating the soil. So this information, this healing information that has been selected, gets sent, kind of like a radio wave, only it's it's more quantum than that. It's outside of time and space. It uses scalar waves, scalar fields, and it delivers this information perfectly to the target instantaneously. And that has always just fascinated me and delighted me. I started to learn about this when I was studying with the Egyptian tradition teacher, the lineage carrier for the pre-dynastic Egyptian teachings. And I'd been studying with the Hedikas, the ancient Peruvian materials and traditions for a long time before that. So I started noticing, realizing these connections and correlations and similarities between all three. And the one thing that struck me a lot was the geometry, the sacred geometry, which is present in all three systems. And it's very, it's really central. It's a core concept of all of those teachings and how the teachings work. But what makes this ancient healing and ancient ceremonies, and what makes these things work? And they have been around for tens of thousands of years. They're described in ancient literature and the carvings on the walls and paintings and papyruses, and passed down from mouth to ear and one generation to the next for tens of thousands of years. So there's something to it. There's something big. There's some real important things in there that we need to investigate more as a modern culture. We need to stop poo-pooing things that came from ancient cultures or primitive cultures as being mythical or nonsense or make-believe, because these things actually work. There's real stuff there. So with the geometry, I noticed that in building sacred space, to do sacred ceremony, to do sacred healings, there's very frequently that sacred space is defined as a circle, perfect circle. Sometimes it's also defined as a cylinder, this perfect circle where the energy goes up like a wall around you, making a cylinder out of that circle. So in the radionics, they also have a cylinder, several cylinders sometimes. And they're called wells. The well that you put your subject's information so that the signal can find where it needs to go. It creates the target. Your subject becomes the target of the signal. And it's a cylinder with very specific dimensions. So in thinking about this and working with it, I realized that I could do the same thing with other kind of materials and leave out the rest of the electrical gadgetry in the radionics and have just the well, just the circle or the cylinder. And it conformed completely with this sacred geometry and sacred space and altar building and ceremony building with the pre-dynastic Egyptians and with the ancient Peruvians. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I had a bowl, I had a cylinder of very specific dimensions. And I had to go through an awful lot of trials trials and errors to find what dimensions work to be able to create a sacred space, to be able to create that space and that energy and the geometrical energy configuration of how the energy is moving around through that cylinder. And so I got that figured out. And it turns out that when you get the dimensions just right, all of that energy traveling all this way and that way and that way, it's refracting off of the walls on the inside of the cylinder, and they come together in a very perfect way and develop this scalar wave, a scalar field. And this is what gives you that capability of taking your healing information and sending it to your desired subject, your desired target, and it instantaneously. So that's how it started. That's where it all came together. And a little side note story here. As I was developing it, and Helmut and I lived in Eugene, Oregon at the time, in this teensy little apartment. I mean, it's weensy teensy. The front room was this teensy little living room-ish area. On the other side of that little teeny area is, you could call the kitchen. It's very tiny, one tiny little bedroom on the other side of the wall from the front room, a little teeny bathroom. But we were just newly married. It's our, well, essentially our second place, but that was the beginning. And one day he was really sick. He had just gotten some kind of like a flu, bad flu symptoms, got super weak, super tired, couldn't stand up, went to bed, and laying in there moaning and groaning in bed and feeling really sick and headachy and body achy and just, everything that's all the nasty flu symptoms. And so I went to work. And found all these different what we call rates. They're frequencies and formulas and patterns and word combinations to use as the medicine to put into the bowl to send to my very sick husband, who became the target in this case. And so I was just experimenting, and I was going through testing, should I put this in? Should I put that in? Will this help? And I'm tossing things in the bowl. And all of a sudden, on the other side of the wall comes a big bellowing voice. What did you do? What did you do? What are you doing over there? I feel really good. I think I'm going to get up. I feel great. It's all gone. The symptoms are all gone. I mean, it happened in minutes, just minutes, when you get that right combination of different, in the native way, we would call it medicines. These are energetic medicines. And sometimes we use some things like some herbs, the actual, green chunk pieces, leaves of an herb plant that you think is going to be perfect medicine for your situation. And you can put that into the bowl with all these other kinds of frequencies and things and send that. So I had this perfect combination of healing items for whatever it was that ailed him in the moment. And he did. He got up, he got dressed, he was all perky, he was wanting to eat. And moments before, he was quite sure, leave a clear path to the bathroom. I'm going to need it. So that's kind of how it all pulled together. And the right medicines, the geometry is considered a medicine in these ancient cultures. And you get the right geometry, the right place, right time, and wow. But there's also bad geometry. And I think probably everybody has experienced that, going into a building that has really unfortunate geometrical ratios and design. It creates an energy pattern that is disruptive to our body, to our emotions, to our mind, to our spirit. And just literally makes you sick. I've come across that a number of times, especially since I started studying with the Hedekas and with the Egyptian teacher. It just became more and more noticeable. And then I had an experience. I was traveling to teach a lot, going to different states and teaching these ancient teachings. And I went to Oklahoma City, and there was the place that the people had picked was a great big building, had great big meeting rooms. It had been designed as some kind of a church facility. And there's this huge building, very tall, and with all these great big rooms. And I was in there with all the students. The geometry of that building was the worst thing I have ever encountered in my life. And I got really sick. I mean, it made me sick on all levels. It was hard to finish doing my lectures and the classes, but I did. I managed it. Didn't go back in though. didn't go back in the building. So now where we're at, we have a beautiful, beautiful woman, an artist who works with wood, who makes these bowls for us. And they're not easy. It's not an easy shape to make in most any kind of form. But we make them out of wood, a special wood, with special glues, because when you get most of these modern products of glues and varnishes and sealers and paint and all that kind of stuff, they have such poisonous chemicals in them that it makes the feel disappear out of the bowl. It just totally disrupts the field. So it took quite a while, a number of years of hunting down different materials, trying them. And you want materials that last and hold your shape that you need, so they're stable and sturdy and that kind of stuff too. But now these the bowls are incredible. This lady, what she does is just unbelievable. And they work so beautifully. And we're going to hear some different stories today and in our following sessions, where we have different people talk about the kind of experiences that they've had with the red door in healing themselves, healing their loved ones, healing clients that they had, healing their garden, making incredible vegetable gardens, and their pets. We've done lots of work with our 2 kitties that we had. And I think I'm going to leave it at that for right now. And we'll talk about some other things that, oh, here's the bowl. There it is. Yeah. Can you turn it on its edge a little bit? We see inside.
Yeah, I was just going to
try not to spill. Somebody's in there.
Yeah, this is Boo Cat.
Boo Cat.
Boo Cat. Boo Cat. There's a lot in his bowl right now. We're doing a lot of work on Boocat, but they're gorgeous. And I think maybe understanding maybe the ease of using it, why this works. Just a little bit. I mean, that's one of the things I would say, you know, to anybody interested. And that we do have also the 5-part series that talks in depth, you know, about how they work and what they do. But getting started, we have this really great series that Kay put together called Quick Start that gets you up and running. But did you want to talk a little bit? I mean, I know we're watching time today, but how it understands, like the thought?
Yes, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything is conscious. Everything is alive and thinking and connected. And there is a telepathic connectedness between everybody, everything. And the bowl, because of that geometry, creating that field, it has its own kind of consciousness. It has its own kind of aliveness. I know that sounds very strange to people new to these ideas, but when you think about the entire universe being awake and conscious and alive, and it has thought, it has emotion, it has connectedness to everything, and everything and everybody's sharing all those kinds of different energies, information, love, healing, what they had for lunch, everything gets shared. And we can narrow down this stream of everything that, for instance, everything that we are feeling and experiencing, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, everything we think, everything we feel, all our own beliefs, everything that has to do with our attention and our consciousness, we're transmitting it through this scalar wave kinds of energies and fields. We're transmitting it to everything and everybody else all the time. We're receiving it from everybody else, everything else. And it's too much for our human conscious awareness to be able to sort it all out, way too much. But it goes into the subconscious, and it is recorded there, and it is noted, and things that are important to be consciously aware of bubble up. They're brought to the surface for us to make a conscious awareness and thought and intent and interaction, whatever needs to happen. So when we're working with the bowl and we're working with this energetic kind of healing, our intent, our thoughts, like when Laura collected those different pieces of paper, some of them are typed, they're printed out because they're things that we use over and over and over again. They're in our manual, but there might be new things, something that we don't have a program for. We write it down. So that looked like a general statement. Clear parasites out of boo. And don't forget the ear mites.
Oh, yeah.
So that's part of the medicines, the different kind of healing things that we collect together and create and put into the bowl and make a package, a program to send. And when we put all those things together like that, they become a symbiotic collection, a bunch that works together and harmonizes together and works together in that body, or if it's like a garden, the body of the whole system of the garden. So those are the kind of things we use. And like I mentioned, you can use things like real herbs other kinds of medicines, or if you know somebody's desperately in need of magnesium and you have a magnesium capsule from, from your supplements, you can put it in the bowl. You can just drop one in the bowl, and it'll send the vibration of the magnesium to your subject, and your body recognizes it and uses it. So all those pieces of information, the bowl recognizes what they are, and they recognize each other. Each piece of information recognizes each other and what their task is, what the intent is for that whole program. And they recognize, because they're connected to that target, that subject on the other end, they recognize the problems that are there. What's happening with that subject? What's wrong and what needs to be worked on? What's the problem? And it all coalesces and works together. And it's following the instructions of the operator's intent. So Laura's intent when she put that program together in the bowl, her boo friend was not feeling so good.
No.
was having some trouble
Mhm.
and figuring out what it is, what it could be, and putting it all together, making it happen, and it broadcasts. And sometimes if you get everything just so perfectly right and the person is ready to be healed, that's an important part of the issue too. Sometimes people aren't quite ready. They need to be sick for a while and just experience that, fix something that's inside themselves, that with that illness. Like when I was working on Helmut, it happened instantly. I mean, I don't even think I had the very last item put into the bowl yet. I had just been putting one at a time as I was finding them and testing them, and everything was good to go in the bowl. And when it clicked, and he was like magic, like the light switch got turned on. I've had many different experiences and clients for years with the red door. One that is one of my favorites. So a few years back, her name was Karen, and she's 17, and she lived in Hawaii. And she had accidentally gotten splashed in both eyes with the furniture paint stripper chemical. And obviously that kind of stuff causes some really bad damage. She was having her body responded by the retinas of both eyes beginning to dislocate from the back of the eyeball. They were deteriorating and just falling apart. And when she came to me, she was almost completely blind in both eyes. She could barely sort of see. Certainly couldn't do anything like drive, and needed help with certain kinds of things. So we started working to reattach the retinas, and her allopathic medical team gave her prednisone, long-term prednisone. Bad idea. Does a whole lot of damage. So it was it took the pain away out of the eyes and wasn't helping the retinas to reattach, but was taking swelling down, but it was giving her glaucoma and cataracts. 17. And she was a surfer, avid surfer in Hawaii. And even though she couldn't see very well, she still surfed. I mean, this kid just really had the get up and go and some big chutzpah. So she surfed almost every day. We saw steady improvement with the bowl work, over time, all the healing that provides. And I saw her on the internet. It was long distance, at least once a week. Sometimes it was twice a week for a while, just to keep getting her energetic blueprint to accept the picture that her retinas were attached and whole and functional. And we just kept repeating that and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and adding new things as they came along. And of course, trying to take the side effects of the prednisone away. And we were able to do that. And just step by step. And she had already, by the time she came to me, I think she had had this condition for at least a year. So things kind of get set in time like that. And sometimes they'll reverse themselves instantly, and sometimes they just take a little time to get reversed in steps. And there's lots of different reasons why that might be. Sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes emotional, sometimes it's mental. It has to do with beliefs. Sometimes it has to do with other physical conditions, perhaps their diet, all those kind of things. They all get stirred into the picture. They all make a difference. But within a few months, she had changes in the attachment. They were reattaching. The retinas were reattaching. The optical nerve was rebuilding. It was healing itself. It was rebuilding, which they say is impossible. They say once it's damaged, that's it. It's gone forever. But they were healing. They were reattaching it and regrowing. And the doctors had no idea why this was happening. They just could not figure it out. But they didn't want to take her off the prednisone. And her parents were, leaning towards the doctor, so she stayed on that prednisone. But I worked with her for probably a total of a few years. And she got almost 20/20. She ended up with better eyesight than I have.
She wrote a story about it, and let me read a couple of paragraphs from that real quick.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes.
I can now see with 20/20 vision from my right eye, and the glaucoma is controlled. Furthermore, I have been able to taper off all my medications except for 7 milligram of prednisone and occasional topical steroid eye drops. My improvement baffles me every single day. I awake and open my eyes to the vision of a clear tree outside my window. Equally amazed are my doctors, family, and friends. This is a longer story, but I think we leave it at that for today.
So that's Karen. And these things are not uncommon with the red door bowl. They're not uncommon at all. So
beautiful. Thank you.
I know, that made me teary. I get teary easy, but man, that's
me too.
Yeah. I'm a control freak, and I think that's Kay was, the first person. I got a lot of bad medical advice. I mean, in my case, even from naturopaths, I was heading down the wrong health path, trying every new health thing that came around. And it wasn't until Kay had found, my causes behind the causes behind the causes. And I think that's one of the most beautiful thing about the bowl. And that's why I stepped into the bowl program. I mean, I've been sick once in 10 years, Kay. And it has to do with anytime I find an itch or scratch or, plus the amazing amount of detoxing, successful detoxing. Let me say that you can do gentle and successful, literally disappearing of these toxins in your body that the bowl can also do. It can, not only kill organs, it can clear, eliminate, repel. It's just, but the ease of it is like making soup, I call it. You're literally writing messages and thinking thoughts of what you want, and you put this combination of ingredients in the bowl that you want in the way of your health, mental, physical, emotional, and it just broadcasts it out. And it's amazing. I have the stop hemorrhaging rate really close by, because my husband has a propensity to bleed. He's very accident prone, but also gets nosebleeds, and that stop hemorrhaging rate, it just like immediately stops the bleeding. I mean, he split his head open with a T-post driver. I mean, we're talking not just trickling little boo-boos. We're talking some, probably should have taken him to the hospital, but we don't do that. Oops, I froze a little bit. Sorry about that. But we're a bowl family. We all have bowls, and we're very much about being in the bowls, and working on other people now with the bowls and saying, do you want one of my stories?
Oh, yes. Oh, please.
I have so many. We can go from plant, animal, person, but one of my, I mean, it's funny because we don't even think about anything other than, there's an average, did you put it in the bowl is kind of the term around our house. Put it in the bowl. That's just how we handle everything. But I am a Katasi Red Door practitioner. And so I do see clients and use both the Katasi and the Egyptian healing practice, as well as the bowl. And I had a client who came to me, I think it was 3 weeks before a double mastectomy, because they found a very, very, very aggressive cancer in her breast, and so she x-rayed it. It was 4 centimeters, and I think that's how they said it. And it was and I forget the number on the cancer cells, but it was high, and so it was a double mastectomy, and then radiation and chemo was the treatment plan. But so I got her 3 weeks, and I have to say, she was an amazing client. I could just feel the energy being accepted. Like, I can't, there's sometimes you feel it bounce and sometimes you feel it absorb. And she was one of those. And we worked through detoxing, healing, a bunch of things in the bowl. But long story short, they operated and removed the cancer, and the doctors can't figure out why it was only 2.5 centimeters. And after they they wait a few days to figure out how aggressive the cancer is. It was nothing. They basically, she had no chemo, no radiation, and she's on some hormones. But there was nothing. The doctors are shocked and so it was she still, did the surgery and had it removed. And, but we were able to get to it in time and reduce the significance of it. And now we're just working on her overall health, continuing to improve her health. So we're never back here again, but it's beautiful. It was just 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I've seen Crohn's disease on one of my clients disappear within 4 weeks. Results vary. I have x-rays before, and then 4 weeks later, because it was spreading, his Crohn's was suddenly spreading so aggressively. That's when he came back. It came and found me. I'd love to see people sooner. we seem to get people when they're at a critical point, and desperate, instead of, actually, I shouldn't say that. We're getting a lot of little kids and reversing things young. Give me those kids. They absorb this stuff, and we can reverse things before they're happening. But yeah, 4 weeks, he had new x-rays and there was no sores, off all the medications. And that always excites me. Any time we can get somebody off a medication, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I think Helmut has a fun story too.
Do tell.
Very beautiful story.
Thank you, Laura.
But thanks, Laura. This is so amazing. Really, really cool. I mean, how great is that?
Oh, I could go
not
on.
not having to go through chemo and radiation. That's just.
Oh, you should see her though. I mean, because it's not just the cancer's gone. It's like all the other health and healing. She's lost weight. I mean, she's just radiant. And that's what I love seeing, is like, because of all the detoxing and the healing work, as it's working on one thing, it's working on all these other things. You're just getting more energy pumped through your body, life energy. There's no wrong in it. I mean, we could go on to talk about people, there's a few people probably even on this call, is like, once you start being in the bowl, you don't want out. That's my bowl in my household.
We're gonna share more stories.
Yeah, we are.
We're hoping for Laura, our friend Laura, the other Laura, to be part of the call today, but she couldn't make it, so she could share stories. But she'll join us next week, and we're gonna hear many more stories. She has done some amazing work with Laura together. Laura and Laura, the Portland tag team. It's really beautiful what you guys doing up there. Anyway, my story is, last year, Kay developed thanks, Laura. Thanks for sharing. Last year, Kay developed what we call the coherence programs, the coherence packages of programs. And you'll hear more about those next week on the next call. But I'm mentioning those because my sister called me right around the time when Kay started to complete those packages of programs, and she was diagnosed with a deteriorating artery close to her heart, and scheduled for a surgery that would have taken 12 hours, a 12-hour surgery, and it has up to 20% rate of death of people dying in that surgery. So it would have been very strenuous on her, very hard on her, and a fair chance of she not coming out. So the first thing we did, we put her in the bowl, and she was pretty much one of the first recipients, first handful of people who received the full coherence package that was available. So she asked us to do what we can, and that's what we did mainly. And 6 months later, she came back for the surgery in the hospital, and they did another MRI before they did the surgery, and they didn't see any changes. Nothing had any more deteriorated. So they suggested, because the surgery would have been so strenuous and dangerous, they suggested to give it another 6 months and see if anything got worse. And then they make a decision. And after 6 months, and of course she stayed in the bowl, after 6 months, she went back there. They did another MRI, and they said nothing has gotten worse. It hasn't gotten really to a point where the surgery was warranted to do right away. So they said they recommended not to do the surgery, and they scheduled her for the next exam, the next MRI, for 2 years out. So they're pretty confident that she'll be okay. And she's very happy. I'm very happy. Her husband is very happy. He said, "Do not stop what you're doing." They both live in Austria. Anyway, that's the story. That was really exciting, very beautiful. So
Yeah, don't
that's my
stop what you're
story.
doing. That's awesome.
And I think, I mean, there were other things that we put in the bowl, but the coherence had a big part, and the coherence programs had a big part in this instance, I'm sure. So that's it.
That's more than it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Through the years, there's so many stories, so many like this. And it just never gets old. It's always so exciting and so beautiful. And I don't know about other practitioners, but for me, working with people or animals or even somebody's garden with the bowl, I can feel the connectedness, the connection that's there and that's happening, and feeling what's going on with them and their energy. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to experience the changes that happen holistically. This is a holistic medicine, even though we're in some ways targeting focusing a lot on physical things. It's working on all levels, and people experience the healing on all levels in their life, in their whole body, their whole system. The ease that it brings, the feeling of making life simpler, more peaceful, happy, less stress.
I've actually broadcast on a house. One of my friends was home hospicing their mom, and the families were all coming. And to help support them, I put their home, their space in the bowl. And it was, there was some natural tendencies between family members and stuff, nothing like that. She said it was the most beautiful, peaceful experience in that home during that process. There was just ease where it could have gone truly the other way. Just that broadcasting to space, that beautiful, because it naturally clears, and everything, the energy changes. The use of the bowl in a home to protect the home. There's so many, harmful environmental stuff out there. The use in the home, we use it on our property, in our home, on our spaces here. We're farmers, and so we do use it. We have a olive grove, and I could go on and on about how our olive trees are bigger than other people's olive trees. But there's no competition. But it's like we did have the olive research out here in Oregon, because growing olive trees in Oregon is pretty new and wild. And but our trees were a foot taller than those that were getting the specialty treatment, because we were getting the extra special treatment. But we do use a bowl to broadcast on our gardens, on our food. It really is. Because we don't use pesticides. We're beyond organic. I don't think you would call it. There's got to be another label for red door farming. My olive oil one day is going to be precious. So it's pretty. I mean, I do want to keep repeating how you can go and learn the deeper dives of practitioner work and use this in a broader sense. But there is my friend had said, it's like having a shaman in your house. It was like this thing that I know, right? It was we should like trademark it, but it's like,
that is really cool.
it was. I remember studying with it at the parallel to studying the energy healing works that we do. And I'm like, well, hell, and trust me, both are valuable. Having both modalities is so awesome, but there's ease. And that's what I love about it, is this, like, you can learn and go deeper in the quantum physics and the understanding of developing programs and stuff, which is fantastic. And I recommend it for everybody, going deeper. But just any parent, homeowner, it's the ease, Kay, how you've developed it, where you can write a message. I mean, we have students who take, if you have a boo-boo, you can take a picture of it, circle it, say heal, and drop it in the bowl. It's like baking. We're like, what's baking in the bowl today? I mean, that's why I love to cook. And so it reminds me, what's in your soup? It's awesome. Sorry.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we go to questions? I got a question from Susan about if my sister got the whole coherence package of programs, and I think at the time we just really quickly
everything.
Threw everything in.
But that's not every single thing that is in that package today, because I was continuing to make them.
Yeah, she was really, I think, the first one that got whatever was available.
Yeah. One that probably wouldn't ever get into her bowl, there's one called Moon House Energy. And there's an ancient way, I know about it through a European thread. It's an ancient way of building using wood, and it starts with growing the wood, and it's a certain special tree. I'm not sure which kind of tree it is, but a whole grove of these trees, all grown in a special way on a special slope of the hill, and they get treated a certain way. A lot of things that are done with the trees as they're growing have to do with earth cycles, moon cycles, all kinds of energy things, the geometry of their location, and all these things are very important. And then when they cut the tree to make wood for the house, it has to be done in a certain way so that it falls in a very specific direction, so that here's the root of the tree, the tip of the tree, it falls so that it goes like this, and then it's aimed downhill so that the juices in the tree are headed down the trunk and into the branches. And that's very important. You don't want it to lose the juices. You want them the wood to dry with the juices in place. And that creates planks of wood that block out all the EMF. I mean, it's been tested. It blocks out everything, 5G, the regular just EMF from your electrical appliances and stuff. It blocks it all out. And it creates this incredible energy field. Now there's a geometry of the rings of the trees and the fibers of the trees and the water that has been trapped in the wood has a very special structuring and creates a little micro geometry that brings this incredible, beautiful, healing, peaceful energy into the space where it's used. and it keeps out nasty thought forms from outside. They just don't pass through the walls. So I created a coherence program around that to bring that into anybody's house or what other kind of space. It doesn't even have to have walls. It could be your garden, it could be your whole property. And theoretically, it could be an animal's body or a human's body. You could be broadcasting it to people too. But mostly it's for a space. So
Susan said she is broadcasting it to her apartment. And she said, I think the Moonwood program brought peacefulness for a long time as my son and his wife got stuck living with me in my 1-bedroom apartment. That's beautiful.
That's really nice.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Susan. That is a really beautiful story. I think we can all kind of picture what kind of disaster that could turn into. Small space.
Yeah, okay, you're both saving lives and families in so many ways. That's one of my Thanksgiving. I'll take out, because the bowls are so pretty that most people don't think about them other than being something pretty I have up on my shelf. And as the Thanksgiving politics started, I just kind of put it on the shelf closer to everybody. It was just like holidays are coming, family's coming, the bowls are.
We need bowls.
Need bowls.
There's
expanding on that.
Go ahead.
When you leave the bowl open and empty and no papers in, it clears the space. So hence the Thanksgiving practice that Laura is doing. There's a video, a short clip on catharsereddoor.com about that story.
We've had lots of practitioners of all sorts, massage people, people with other types of practices, MDs, psychiatrists, lawyers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, corporate people. They didn't want to try to learn how to do any of the healing, or they just aren't that woodgy. But they wanted to clear the space for their clients and themselves, so they don't have to sit every day, all day in the middle of yucky thought forms somebody left behind. So they bought at least one to just have in their office and use in their practice.
You want to read Deanna's?
Yeah, Deanna. Hey,
Thanks
Deanna.
for sharing.
Deanna, we'll hear more from Deanna. She'll join us on the 19th. Deanna, she wrote, I take my bowl to my mental health clinic to help clear the space in between clients. She's a friend and a fellow practitioner, and we talked about it. She has a little filing drawer at her desk, and the bowl fits nicely in there, and she can just open up the drawer and clear the room in between clients. And it's just not only better for you, but one client coming into another client, what the thoughts and negative thoughts they left behind, it's really setting up the room, and her clients have an opportunity to be more successful. Yeah, Polly just said something. How much did you catch it?
Yeah, I did see that. There's
You can leave out the adjective, my boss.
My boss, without the adjective, would get quiet, and then apparently not an extremely friendly boss, but would get quiet and then leave quickly or stay away altogether. When I worked in a pet store as a clerk with the bowl open in my car outside. Okay, she changed it to my problematic boss. Thank you. And thanks for sharing, both Deanna and Polly.
Yeah,
Well,
so we
Laura,
have a lot of stories like that where we used to go to this one lymph practitioner, and she would take the bowl with her wherever she went. So it was in the car with her. She'd take it into her clinic room while she was working in there, and then she'd take it home with her. It just went with her everywhere she did. She wouldn't let go of this bowl.
it's really great because they make these are those thermal
Crock pot? Is that what
crock
it is?
pot. That's it. That's a crock pot casserole dish holders, and they fit really well. And so, like, I gave one to Deanna, and everybody thinks she's bringing her lunch, and each day, and it really protects it. I mean, I have a double crock pot one when I carry two, but we're now calling those our bowling bags. Get it?
We took them with us when we went up to our granddaughter's wedding. And so they were in the car, and they were in the little cabin that we were in. And then they came to the wedding. They were in my altar at the wedding. So yeah, I was the officiator, so that's why I had an altar there.
That's so cool.
Okay, we could go on, and we will next time. Thanks, guys, for sharing. Beautiful, and people who joined us in the sharing. So great. Questions. Let's see if there are any questions. And if not, we're going to close out.
Are you going to talk about the specials?
Oh, specials. Yes. We have November specials.
I won't make you, but
so much fun just to talk about the bowl and
I know, right?
what people do with it and what it's done.
Yes, holidays. Holidays are coming quickly, and we thought we offer super specials with the Red Door and the Red Door class, the Quick Start class, and the big class even, and Quick Start and Coherence.
And extra bowls.
And extra bowls.
Well, or your first bowl.
Anyway, if you want to give the gift of Red Door health and well-being and peace, you can find the specials on Laura's site, lauraketty.com. There's a special page she made, but you can find it on the main page. And on our side, you can find it at katasereddoor.com/special offers. And they will be up. They will be available until November 30th, and then they will be gone. So if you want bowls, if you want to jump in, if you want to really learn all this exciting stuff, that's where they are. lauraketty.com and katasereddoor.com/special offers. And katasereddoor.com, just by itself, you can find a little more information. There are some videos up there that are really cool too. And of course, you can always contact us through those sites if you want to chat with any of us. Any other thoughts, Laura?
Oh, this is fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for this month because I'm excited about sharing more about coherence because that's a game changer.
That's coming next week. Yeah, we talk more about coherence.
And then the week after that, we're going to have Laura and Deanna sharing their success stories. And we might try to grab a few more along the way because there's so many. I mean, it really is gone from just a few of us a decade ago to, so many more bowls in the homes. It's just freaking cool.
Yes, it is. Any questions? Anybody? This is your chance. And there will, of course, be more opportunity for questions next week and during every talk. During the month of November, every Friday, we're going to do this and talk about all the different aspects of Red Door. There
And
should be
there's, if things that you don't want to talk about here on the call, just info@lauraketty.com. Just email me and I can, I'll be happy to address. If you're wondering if it could handle anything specific, or on the Healing Talks Facebook comments, I think you can post your questions about the red door there too.
Yeah, check out the website, contact Laura, contact me. You have a special going for doing a
analysis. Yes.
Yeah.
I do. That's also on one of the fabulous things about the red door is without blood work, urine test, x-rays, we can deep dive into seeing how your body is doing. And so on my Facebook page there, or in Facebook, on my website, I'm putting up, it'll be up later today. I'm getting there. But a special offer for doing just the analysis with the red door. It's basically telling you everything from your intolerance to allergies to how your blood, bones are working, and if there's any disorders going on in your body. It's a very, 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 very deep dive into your health. And so I'll be putting up an offer on my homepage website and on that page to, so if you want to kind of taste, more than a sip, but get a little feel for how the red door is, it's another good way of going about it. And then ultimately you'll want your own. You'll always want your own.
All right. I think we got it.
We do.
Today. Any other thoughts? Anybody?
I think we got it.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's been really fun. And I want to thank Laura. Thank you, Laura and Helmut, for all the work you guys do to put these things together so that they can happen. Thank you, because it's so beautiful. And everybody out there who has been chatting and listening, and who will be listening, because I know there's a lot of people have to wait till they aren't working or something else before they can watch this. So thank you all. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, guys. We see you next week, Friday, same time, Known Mountain. But we'll send out stuff about that again. All right. Love you. Have fun.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.